The Dell XPS 179730. It's better than the M3 Pro MacBook Pro, at least in some ways. So let's talk about it. Yo, what up YouTube? Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come check out this video. I do hope that you find it useful or helpful in some way, or at least just enjoyable. Anything like that would be fine by me. But I don't want to keep you guys here too long. This is the Dell XPS 179730. I don't want to do a super deep dive. You guys know what it is at this point. You know, this design aesthetic hasn't really changed for the last few years. And that's one of the gripes that this laptop gets. You know, you'll hear a lot of reviewers might say it's old at this point. I would fall into the camp that says it's refined at this point. I think this is a very refined laptop, though it does have some weaknesses. You know, Wi-Fi 6 instead of Wi-Fi 6E. It's got the 60 hertz refresh rate panel, no OLED option. And then the other one would be sort of the port selection. While I think it's great, 4 Thunderbolt 3 or 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports and a SD card reader, you know, some people would say that that's limited with not having some additional port selection there. But you know, you can very easily go and find a cable like this, you know, a DisplayPort or HDMI to USB-C for not very much money. In fact, I'll link one of those down in the show notes if you want to go pick up a cable for yourself. But, you know, so I don't think the design is outdated or anything. I think if this laptop came out today, we would all be cheering by just how beautiful it looks, how well built it is. Again, with some limitations for 2023, but still excellent machine overall. But again, don't want to keep you here long. I just want to get to the areas that this thing really impressed me in and where it beat the M3 Pro MacBook Pro. So the two areas that it beat the M3 Pro, the first one, unsurprisingly, is gaming. This is actually a pretty capable gaming laptop, which again sets pretty much every Windows laptop apart from its MacBook counterpart. And you know, when you get to the benchmarks there, you'll see it, but you know, I ran Cyberpunk 2077, 96 FPS on 1080p high on this. I think I had 67 FPS on 1440p, and then around 77 and 60 FPS respectively, with ray tracing on Ultra and frame generation on. So it games really well, which is important for some people. And your MacBook is not really going to do that. And then the other area, and this was the area where it beat me in that it shocked me the most, was video editing. So if you didn't see my review for the M3 Pro MacBook Pro, I rendered out the exact same clip on this laptop, 30-minute clip, you know, 4K, H.264, you know, whatever, transitions, color correction, that sort of stuff, simple stuff. The M3 Pro did it in 17.5 minutes, which is underwhelming in my opinion for the amount of money you pay for that laptop. This Dell XPS 17 rendered that same clip out in 9 minutes and 31 seconds. So nearly half the time, twice as fast in video editing, which is important because this is a creator laptop. And you can have this cheaper than you can the M3 Pro MacBook Pro. So the one I reviewed in that previous video was the 12-core CPU, 18-core GPU, 18 gigs of RAM, and the 1 terabyte SSD. And that was around $2,400. There's some sales right now, so that might be slightly less. I picked this up on Dell Refurbished for just a hair over $2,000. So $400 less, twice as fast in video editing, which again is super important for a creator laptop. And and that just, you know, I've kind of talked about this in the previous video. That's kind of one of the things that gets thrown out a lot. You know, oh, MacBooks are so amazing. The video editing is not great. Maybe the Max models are with the dual video encoders, but NVIDIA's NVENC encoders are still doing the thing like they have for the last few years. Very good. And, you know, I know kind of the trope today is Intel is, you know, who would even buy Intel? It's basically a garbage chip anymore. And no serious content creator would ever dare to buy an Intel. I disagree with that. And I think that video editing test, which is what I do mostly, video editing, this is a better option for me. And I ran that. This model here comes with the, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, the i7-13700H, the RTX 4070, which is a 70 watt 4070, so a pretty low powered 4070, 16 gigs of RAM and a 512 SSD. So this beat the M3 Pro with those baseline specs, you know, and you could very easily go and grab 2 additional hard drives, slap those in here because this is upgradable. And you could very easily, for 150 bucks, grab a stick of 64 gigs of RAM, slap that in here and get an even better experience. Oh, and all of that's to say, I video edited, so the 9-minute and 31-second export and edit was done on my lap, unplugged from the wall, on battery power. And I know, Apple is the only laptop in the history of the world that's ever been useful on battery. Well, this one did a pretty good job. No stutters, no lag. It ran cool, it ran quiet on my lap. Again, I was wearing basketball shorts, so it was not just, you know, it was cool, it was quiet, it performed well, and it rendered fast, which is impressive. And that leads me to the third thing that is super, oh, and sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm so excited. This is the full HD panel. They do have the 4K options. I went specifically with the full HD panel because I wanted battery life. And that's what leads me into my third and final point that was really impressive to this. I ran my normal YouTube playback, you know, 5-hour YouTube playback, 50% brightness. And after 5 hours of playback, this had 66% battery left. So that would tell you that this gets a little over 15 hours of battery life in this Dell XPS 17. I didn't expect that, so it caught me off guard. The battery life in this is exquisite with that 97 watt hour battery. Now again, the 4K option, that's going to be different. But I think, to me, I went with the full HD model because I think it's a better option here. I have a 4K monitor if I need to do 4K, you know, more color accurate, because this screen isn't the most color accurate, 100% sRGB and, you know, around mid to low 70s in Adobe RGB and DCI P3. Still color accurate enough to do whatever I need it to do, but just great. So, you know, I wanted to make this video just to kind of tell you, like, XPS ain't dead yet. It's still a really good laptop. You can find them now refurbished for a pretty good deal. You know, I think $2,000 for a machine built this well, that's this enjoyable to use. And I still think it beats the MacBook in other areas. I prefer the design aesthetic over the MacBook. I think having the carbon fiber, you know, the carbon fiber palm rest, I think is better. I like the keyboard more than the MacBook keyboard. I just like the deeper travel on the keys. MacBook is great, but, you know, I do prefer that. And then I just think the overall chassis, to me, looks nicer. It's a little more sleek than the MacBook. But again, that's personal preference. But it's a great machine, you know, for the price. And again, it's a little bit outdated at this point, but, you know, I still think it's beautiful. It's well built. Speakers are great. Screen is awesome, even for being full HD at 10, you know, at 17 inches, it looks great. So I was shocked by how good this thing performed. Didn't expect it, but you know, I think if you're in the market for a new laptop, a creator-focused laptop, I still think the XPS is something worth considering. And if you can go check out the Dell refurbished website, or maybe an open box from Best Buy or something to that effect, and get one for a decent deal, I think it's worth your consideration. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful or helpful. I'm gonna have a review coming up in a few days, hopefully for the XPS 15 with the Arc A370 GPU to see how that actually performed for the base model. But you know, let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm not going to be holding on to this. I'm going to probably send it back, and you know, just wanted to see what it was made of. And again, really impressed at the end of the day. All right, God bless.